What's up guys, and welcome to today's video. We are back. This is episode 3 of my current training split. Arguably one of my favorite routines out of this new split of mine. We're gonna be training chest and some upper back. So really trying to focus on the thickness of my potentially not so thick back. I feel like my lats are doing all right, but I just want some horrendously bumpy mountains on my posterior chain. Is that too much to ask for? No, I don't think so. So today, plain and simple, let's get started, shall we? First exercise we have on the routine, the app, is the T-bar row. Gosh. This is probably one of my favorite back exercises. Bent over row is good, bent over barbell row, do it loads of times, but ultimately it gets to a point when you're lifting a lot of heavy weight, you put a lot of strain onto your core, and a lot of the time it's your core that might start to fatigue before your actual back does. Particularly those people who don't really have a strong core. But that's not to say you should stop doing it. I think you should still definitely do it, but this allows me to maintain a fixed body position. I'm not cheating, I'm not trying to like lean more and more upright. I'm literally gonna stay at this angle. I'm gonna keep rowing until I literally can't row anymore. So what I'm thinking about when I do this, I'm completely relaxing everything at the bottom, and then I initiate by retracting my scapula first. So this is what I'll do just to warm up, just to make sure that I'm initiating the movement by doing this. So I'll do about 10 to 12 reps. And if you're the type of person, if you try and do this yourself and like you try and do it, but you can't even pull your shoulders back, then that is going to be a massively limiting factor to actually growing your back. You need to have that ability to pull the shoulders back and engage your back, and then follow through by driving your elbows back. You'll find that with a lot of T-bar row machines, there's a number of different positions you can place your hands. Pronated, neutral, supinated. I'm happy doing pronated for now, particularly because I'm trying to focus more on my upper back. The pronated position is a good one for me to go for. If I was doing more of a diagonal grip or a neutral grip, then I'll be targeting more of my lats here. Another cheeky little warm-up set. Now onto the working weight. Do you reckon I could do 60 kilos? I reckon I could do 60 kilos. Luckily, we're not doing anything too crazy with the tempo on this one. Focusing a little bit more on strength. 2-0-1-1. So 2 seconds from the top position to the bottom, and then just straight up with a squeeze for 1 second at the top. So let's rack it up to 60. Right then, let's get the straps on. First working set, 8 reps. Difficult to hold that squeeze at the top. Technically not 1 second, so I'm going to try better next round. If you don't have a T-bar row, I would recommend doing just a standard bent over row. Equally as good, and you could argue it's better because you're working your core, you're training your core, but I think this one's really good if you really want to test your strength on the row and take your back to failure. Woo! So that's that done. Week 3, week 4. We're applying some drop sets, but no need to at this stage of the program. Don't want to go crazy volume for the entire 4 to 5 weeks. The volume and intensity will increase, like they do in all of my programs. So next exercise, we're going to do a 1-arm row, but unlike what I did in the first routine where I did a row with the elbow close to the torso. I'm going to keep the elbow wider, so 90 degrees to my torso. The idea is whenever I'm doing a row close to my torso, I'm engaging this area here. So this is really focusing on my lats. If I row this position, I'm going to be targeting more upper back, traps, rhomboids, rear delt. So obviously when you do it at this version, the range of motion is going to be a little bit more restricted and the weight which you'll be able to lift is going to be lower. So don't worry if you're like, oh my God, I can't lift anything when I do it this way. Three working sets, 10 reps each, 2010, so a reasonably fast tempo, at least for me anyway. Let's go. I would also say, whenever you're doing a single arm movement, always start off with the weaker side, because it's more fresh and you have a little bit more mental concentration. And then if it is a lagging point, then you can do an extra set. So let's say, for example, if my right side was smaller than the left, then I'd start off with the right side. Do left, left, right, and then maybe do an extra set or 2 sets on the weaker side until hopefully it's more balanced out. With single arm exercises I find as well, you don't necessarily need to rest quite as long in between the sets. So I'm going to try and blast through this workout. Right then, let's move on to some chest, shall we? Some glorious, glorious chest. Okay, so we're going to be starting off the first chest exercise, flat dumbbell press, nothing too complicated, 8 reps, steady tempo, not too slow. And I noticed that when I've done a bit of back training before pushing, I feel like I have this improved ability to keep my scapula fixed in place. So it's worth doing. If you're the type of person that struggles to engage your chest, struggles to keep your scapula fixed, do a couple of rowing movements. It usually helps a bit. I know there's always a debate as to, well, what position should you have your elbows at? Because you could argue, if you keep your elbows flared too much, you are potentially putting yourself in a more of a dangerous position. So for beginners, I wouldn't start off like that. I usually keep my elbows flared because I know my own strength. I'm not going like too crazy heavy. And that way I can maximize the engagement of the muscle fibers, because they're all pointing in this direction, so I want my elbow to move in the direction of the fibers. The problem is if you bring your elbow too far down, it's a little bit less chest and more front delt. You know, if you're coming up and down in this position, way more dominant on the front delt and on the tricep, less chest. So ask yourselves, what are we trying to do here? We're trying to grow our chest, so you're better off to flare a little bit more. But if you're going crazy heavy, don't flare too much. It's dangerous. Go on, let's get the 50s out, shall we? Seven reps, guys. That wasn't very good. I'm not feeling very strong today. There's one thing I've noticed about my training. As you go through each consecutive day, your strength does diminish a little bit. So let's say, for example, you have a rest day, then it's your first day of training. Full of strength, full of energy, pump is usually crazy. But because with this split, I started the session off with lats and delts. Then I did a nasty quad and calf session. So it's the third day now. I'm like kind of borderline fatiguing myself. So after this session, I'll be taking a rest day tomorrow, a much needed rest day. And that's why I always say to people, if you're doing a session where you're trying to, you know, lift the heaviest you've lifted, or it's one of the most demanding sessions, do that session after the rest day. You'll notice your performance will be way better. So I've dropped down to 45 because I feel like I'll get a better contraction with a slightly lower weight. And I don't have a spotter today. felt a lot better. More chest, better squeeze at the top. It's a good weight. And I get asked this a lot, particularly with this split. You'll be like, what? You're only doing chest once a week? You're only doing 3 exercises for chest? Like, that's not optimal. Well, no, it's not optimal if you want to try and maximize growth in the chest region. But when I look at my physique, my chest is the most dominant muscle group by far. So would it make sense for me to train chest twice a week and pack on the volume? Not really, because it means my chest is just going to get even bigger and I'll start to get out of proportion. The bigger the chest, the smaller the delts look, and I want to improve the proportion and size of my delts. So for me, unfortunately, training chest once per week, a couple of exercises, that's enough. It's enough to maintain what I have. I say unfortunately because I love to train chest. So for most of you guys out there, training chest once a week is not going to be optimal, particularly if it's a weaker point. So I do recommend you train it twice per week. How many exercises to do? Well, there is no magic number, but I would say it's better for you to select just a few chest exercises and execute them to your very best ability. It's better to do 3 chest exercises and kill the execution as opposed to picking 9 chest exercises and executing them average. So we've got 4 sets to do. The first one was 50. God, that was heavy. Next exercise, we're going to go on to more of an incline. Incline? Yeah, you heard me right, an incline. To hit the upper pec fibers. I think getting a decent upper chest is probably one of the hardest things you can do. Because most people, whenever they do an incline press, front delt takes over. But when you can really sort of, I don't think, mine can definitely be improved, but when you get like a proper upper pec shelf, I think it looks pretty damn impressive. So I'm doing a incline press machine, luckily for me, in this gym. I honestly think there's probably about 8 different incline pressing machine variations. So I think ultimately it really comes down to, first of all, what is available to you at your gym, and second of all, what actually works for you, because there's a few incline machines here which I don't feel like it hits the spot. It either feels awkward from my shoulder, or I feel like I'm getting more of a front delt stimulation nation. So I mean, I've never actually used this one before. I think I prefer that one. But I think the most important factor is going to be which one looks better for the lighting. That one looks more aesthetic. Okay, then let's do that one then. That was alright actually. A little bit of a risky one because getting it off from the starting position is not great on the shoulders. So we got 4 sets. I don't want to go too crazy heavy with this one. I just want really, really good reps. So we'll add another 80 kilos each side. Next exercise, we are back to rowing again. Now we're going to do a seated cable row with a neutral grip. You could also replace this with any kind of rowing machine with the neutral grip. But the idea is we need a neutral grip or pronated. That's the best if you're trying to hit like the mid to upper back. Underhand, it's a lot more lat focused. 3-second negative on this. Ideally, you want to minimize the amount of rocking backwards and forwards because you just create momentum if you do that. Keep your torso as fixed as possible. That was good. I would say I probably feel that more mid-back as opposed to upper back, but that's okay. I feel like they're very good reps. Oh!
Why shirtless? Should I remove my shirt too?
Huh? Why?
Should I untangle you?
Tell you what, when you do those slow reps, it works your forearms massively. People always ask me if I do any direct forearm training, and I don't. It's a combination of doing the slow reps, as well as when I'm doing bicep training, I do quite a lot of pronated and neutral curls. Same thing with pull-ups and so on. Bosh. Finishing off with the pec deck. Bosh. It's basically like a safer, arguably more effective version of a dumbbell fly. I like dumbbell flies, but I feel like the problem with a dumbbell fly is there's a lot of resistance in the lengthened position, but when you come up to the top, not much is really happening. But at least when you're doing a pec fly machine, there's always constant resistance regardless of where you are in the movement. So that's a good thing. I just want to increase my range of motion a little. Go on a little bit more. A couple of important things with this one. We need to get this seat positioning right. So ideally, I want my hand to be same height as my shoulder. I don't want to be going like that or having it too low like that. And I really want my elbow to be coming across in this motion, okay? Like I said before, all the pec fibers are here. So I want to lengthen the pec fibers and then I want to shorten the pec fibers. I see a lot of people when they do this, they point their elbows down. And when you do that, you put additional strain on the elbow and it's not great for your shoulder joint. I feel like generally I prefer, whenever I do a fly, to do it in the neutral position. I find that whenever I do it like this, I can't help my elbows point down. I mean, I try my best not to do that, but I always find as I go through the set, my elbows start to point down, and like I said before, that is not, it's not good for the elbows. So this is honestly my preferred position. Do you know what helps massively? Having a mirror right in front of me. It's actually mad how much of a difference that makes. But obviously not every single pec deck is going to be positioned magically in front of a mirror. So I would recommend you get somebody to film yourself. One of the biggest leaps in terms of my technique and execution of form was when I started to film myself. So I was seeing myself perform movements at different angles which I'd never seen before. And I was like, wow, okay, either I'm not doing it properly or there's an imbalance there, or simply put, it could just be better. So I recommend you do that. The last set, the fourth set, I'm gonna go a bit heavier. I think I can go heavier. Excuse me, can you get out of my mirror? Get out of the way of my mirror. Thank you very much. Looking pretty good. So that is the session completed. 75 minutes, a little bit longer than usual because there was a few people who I was talking to in the gym. It's Banus, of course, to be expected. So we are done. That is the third session. I will be taking a rest day tomorrow, a much needed rest day, and I'll talk to you guys in the next episode about what I do on a typical rest day. And then we also have the hamstrings and glute session to go through, and the delts and arms. That's the final one. So that's that. If you guys are interested, you want the full info and breakdown of this split, then I highly recommend you sign up to my app, which is on the website thirstofficial.com. And for those people that want more of a customized experience, they want more direction with their nutrition programming and to be given an exact training program suited for their goals and their needs and their training availability, then happy to announce I brought back the online coaching. That's right, the online coaching is back. The link is in the description. I'm only going to be taking on select few clients, those who are actually serious about their goals and those that aren't going to waste my time because, as you can imagine, I'm in quite high demand, so I only want to work with those who are going to put in 100% effort. The link to the coaching is also in the description. I'll talk to you a little bit more about that in the next few episodes. But that's that for now. Give it a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and I'll see you guys in the next one.